All right, so level two data, I bet a lot of you have heard traders talking about it like it's this secret weapon.
Ah,
And all those numbers and flashing screens can seem kind of intimidating at first, right?
for sure.
So today on our deep dive, we're going to demystify it all
Absolutely.
and give you a clear picture of what level two data actually is.
Yeah.
But more importantly, we're going to talk about how it can actually give you an edge in the market.
It really is like peeking behind the curtain of the market, you know?
Ooh, I like
You
that.
get a glimpse of what's actually driving prices up and down.
Okay, so instead of just reacting to price changes, we can actually start to anticipate them.
Exactly. Level 2 data reveals something called order flow,
Order flow.
which is basically the constant battle between those buyers and sellers.
Right.
And by seeing where all those buy and sell orders are clustered, we can identify potential support and resistance
So
levels.
those are those price points where the stock is likely to bounce or stall.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
makes sense. But what would I actually see on a level two screen? Is it just a jumbled mess of numbers?
It might look that way at first,
Yeah.
but it's actually quite organized. You'll see columns of bids, those are the buy orders, and asks, those are the sell orders.
Yeah.
Each order has a specific price and quantity attached to it. Think of it like an auction,
Oh, okay.
where buyers and sellers are constantly shouting out their offers.
Gotcha. So the higher the bid price, the more eager the buyer is to get in.
Precisely. And the lower the ask price, the more eager the seller is to get out.
Okay. Starting to get the picture here.
Uh,
But there must be a ton of orders flying around, right? How do I make sense of all of it?
right. Well, that's where the top of the book comes in.
Talk of the book.
It's the most important part of the level 2 screen
Okay.
because it shows the best bid and the best ask.
All right.
So that's the highest price someone is willing to buy at and the lowest price someone is willing to sell at. That's where the immediate action is.
So if the top of the book is constantly moving, that means the price is about to change.
It can be a strong indicator. But remember, it's not just about the static numbers.
Right. It's about watching the flow, the shifts in those orders. Think of it like a real-time heat map of the market.
Okay.
The hotter the area, meaning the more orders clustered at a certain price, the more buying or selling pressure there is.
That's a great analogy. So it's almost like seeing the market's intentions unfold in real time.
You got it. And the more you learn to read those intentions, the better you'll be able to anticipate price movements.
This is getting really interesting. But I've also heard about traders trying to manipulate level 2 data, right? Isn't that a concern?
It is. There's something called spoofing,
Spoofing.
which is basically placing fake orders to trick other traders.
Yeah.
Imagine seeing a massive sell order appear on level 2, pushing the price down, but then just as quickly as it appeared, it vanishes.
Wow.
That could be a spoofer trying to scare you into selling low.
Wow, that's sneaky. So how can we avoid falling for those kinds of tricks?
Well, level 2 data can actually help you see through all that, all the smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
By watching the order book carefully, you can often spot those phantom orders.
They tend to disappear before they're filled,
Right.
which is a big red flag.
Okay, so it's all about paying attention to the subtle clues.
Okay.
But let's get practical here. How can I actually use level 2 data
Sure.
to make better trading decisions?
Yeah, one way is to use it to refine your entry and exit points.
Okay.
For example, let's say you're looking at a stock and you see a big wall of bids building up at a certain price.
Oh.
That could signal strong support at that level. So if the price dips towards that support and you see those bids holding firm, it might be a good opportunity to buy.
Because you're actually seeing real buying interest at that price, not just guessing where support might be.
Exactly. And on the flip side, if you're looking to sell, a large concentration of ask orders could indicate strong resistance.
Interesting. So level 2 data can actually help me time my trades more effectively.
That's the idea.
Hmm.
By understanding the dynamics of order flow, you're essentially getting a glimpse into the minds of other traders.
Oh, wow.
You can see where they're placing their bets and adjust your own strategy accordingly.
This is all starting to click.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, this still sounds pretty complex.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see why some traders spend hours glued to their level 2 screens.
It can definitely be a lot to take in at first. Don't worry, you don't need to analyze every single order.
Right.
The key is to focus on the overall patterns and trends, learning to filter out the noise.
Okay, so it's more about recognizing the bigger picture rather than getting lost in the details.
Right. It's like learning to read a map. You don't need to memorize every street name to get to your destination.
Right.
You just need to understand the general layout and direction.
That's a helpful way to think about it.
Yeah,
And I guess practice is key here, just like with anything else.
absolutely. Even if you're not using level 2 data, yet honing your general trading skills is crucial. Things like managing risk, sticking to your trading plan, and recognizing chart patterns are all essential foundations.
Right. So maybe starting with a simulator would be a good idea.
Absolutely. Simulator.com is a great resource for that. It lets you practice trading in a risk-free environment and develop those core skills we were just talking about. You can experiment with different strategies and get a feel for how the market moves without putting any real money on the line.
Sounds like a smart way to build confidence before diving into the real deal. But let's be clear, even with all the insights Level 2 data provides, it's not a magic bullet.
Definitely not. It's just one tool among many.
Yeah.
The most successful traders use Level 2 data in conjunction with other forms of analysis like technical indicators, fundamental analysis, and their own market experience.
So it's really about putting all the pieces of the puzzle together.
Yes, exactly. It's about combining Level 2 data with, other forms of analysis to get a more complete picture of what's happening.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's do a quick recap for our listeners out there.
Sure.
What are the key takeaways they should remember about Level 2 data and order flow?
Well, first off, Level 2 data gives us a glimpse into the order book,
Yeah.
which is basically the queue of buy and sell orders that are just waiting to be executed.
Right, it's like seeing the supply and demand dynamics play out in real time.
Exactly. And by analyzing, those orders, we can identify potential support and resistance levels, spot developing momentum,
Right.
and even detect, attempts at market manipulation like spoofing.
Which, as we learned, is when traders place fake orders to try and trick others.
That's right. And remember, it's not just about the static numbers,
Right.
but also about watching the flow of orders, the constant push and pull between buyers and sellers.
Like that heat map analogy you used earlier.
Precisely. The hotter the area, the more buying or selling pressure there is.
All right, so we've got a good handle on the basics.
Right.
Now, what about actually using Level 2 data when we're trading?
Well, one of the most valuable applications is refining your entry and exit points.
Okay.
If you see a strong wall of bids building up at a certain price, that could be a good sign to buy if the stock dips towards that level.
Because it suggests that there's real buying interest there.
Sure. Exactly. And conversely, a large concentration of ask orders could signal strong resistance, potentially a good spot to sell.
So Level 2 data can really help us time our trades more effectively.
That's the goal. And as we discussed, practice is key.
Yeah?
Don't be afraid to start with a simulator like simulator.com to get comfortable with reading Level 2 data and developing your intuition.
Great advice. And remember, Level 2 data is just one tool in your trading arsenal.
Right.
It's most effective when combined with a solid trading plan, other forms of analysis, and good risk management.
Couldn't agree more. It's about taking a holistic approach to trading.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive into Level 2 data and order flow. I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of how the market works.
I'm glad to hear that. And remember, this is just the beginning. There's always more to learn and explore in the world of trading.
Absolutely. So for our listeners out there, keep learning, keep practicing, and most importantly, never stop being curious about the markets.
Well said. And with that, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Thanks for joining us today, and we'll catch you next time for another exciting exploration of the financial world.